Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for joining. Today we want to seek the blessing of Radha Madhav, Radha Shyamsundar, Krishna Ram, Bal Gopal, Gaunitai, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembly devotees. So, as part of the Sanatan Dharma, we wanted to look at the Devatas. Part of the Vedic, a lot of the Vedic literatures promote the worship of Devatas for fruitive purposes. So basically, that means that the Vedas allows worship or ceremonies to take place to satisfy the Devatas. And that is generally for those who are very materialistically minded. And they are encouraged to worship a higher authority, in this case, the Devatas, in order to obtain wealth. And the reason for that is basically, at least they are worshipping somebody. At least they are considering somebody who is higher than they are. And that is the point of the Vedas, in terms of these fruitive activities, to allow, to get into the mindset of the worshipper that there's somebody higher than they are. Otherwise, we are thinking that we are we are independent, we achieve everything according to our own accord, and that will forever keep us in this world. But if one starts worshipping the Devatas, at least one is on the right track. Although it is still going to keep us in this world, but at least we made some progress. So let's have a look at who are the Devatas and what does it mean? How do they compare to God? What is the difference between God and demigod? What or who exactly is God, and how is he defined? So the definition of God is, he is a source of everything. This is in the Bhagavad Gita 7.6, 10.8. He's also complete and perfect, 10.12. He is a supreme controller, 1861. He is a supreme proprietor and enjoyer, 529. He knows everything. That means he's omniscient. This is chapter 4, text 5, chapter 7, text 26. He's full of the 6 opulences. This is from the Vishnu Puran, which is wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. So these 6 opulences the Lord has in full. And that's why he is the Supreme Lord. So let's evaluate who is God. Many people, many souls claim to be God. And especially this is very prominent in India. Almost every street corner, there is an incarnation of God. But do they meet the criteria that are explained here on who is God? If we really want to accept somebody as God, then he's got to meet these categories. So who is God? Well, Krishna declares he is God. This is in the Bhagavad Gita 10.8, especially in the Gita and the Bhagavatam. There are many references given of Krishna's supreme position. Arjuna also makes the same declaration in chapter 10, text 12. And Arjuna also explains that the sages also accept Krishna as a supreme. And the sages are led by Narad Muni. Brahma himself declares, Brahma is the first living entity in this material world, who is in charge of creation of this world. He says, Ishwara Paramakrishna Satchidananda Vigraha Nadi Radhir Govinda Sarva Karma Kami. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he is the prime cause of all causes. We also have this Trimurti. Now, Trimurti consists of Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu. And there's Lord Brahma there, the four-headed Brahma. And there's Lord Shiva as well. And there's Vishnu. But of them, only one is supreme. It's so often a misconception that all three of the Trimurti are lords, are the supreme lord. But actually, only Vishnu is. Lord Brahma is a living entity who is the most qualified living entity in order to perform this task of creation. And Lord Shiva is a transformation of Vishnu. When Vishnu wants to touch this world, the material world, he transforms himself into Shiva. So actually, there's no difference in one sense between Shiva and Vishnu. But in another sense, there is a vast difference. And we'll go through that in some detail when we look at Lord Shiva's position. This is really interesting. Lord Brahma, this picture is one of the most amazing pictures. One time, Lord Brahma came to see Lord Krishna when Krishna was present on earth in Dwarka. And he came at the gate and the doorkeepers asked him who he is. So he said, I am Brahma. Please let Lord Krishna know I'm here. And they went to Lord Krishna, the gatekeepers. They told him Brahma's here. Krishna asked them, which Brahma is he? So the doorkeepers went back and asked Lord Brahma, which Brahma are you? This is what the Lord has asked. And Brahma was very perplexed. What do you mean? Which Lord am I? Which Brahma am I? Sorry. Anyway, they let him through eventually. He came before Lord Krishna and he asked Lord Krishna, you asked a question, which Brahma? Are there other Brahmas? That point, Krishna just waved his hand and so many Brahmas appeared. There's the four-headed Brahma here, our Brahma. And other Brahmas came from other universes carrying many more heads. Some had 10, some had 20, some had 100, some had 1,000, some had 1,000,000 heads. They had so many different heads came. With the Brahmas came, who had much more powerful, who were much more powerful than our four-headed Brahma. And this astonished Lord Brahma. So this is why Krishna or Vishnu holds a supreme position. Who is God is got to be predicted in the scriptures in advance. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was predicted. Kale Pratama Sandhyayam Gaurangotham Mahitale Bhagirathi Tate Raimai Bhavishyami Sachi Sata. I shall take birth as a son of Sachi, assuming a golden form in the beautiful place on the bank of the Bhagirathi, that's the Ganga, on the earth, in the first part of Kali Yuga. This is from the Padma Purana. He also got to perform extraordinary activities, extraordinary pastimes and lila, which attracts everyone, like lifting the golden mountain to keep the residents of Vrindavan protected from Indra's reign. He gives divine knowledge, and the Bhagavad Gita is the ultimate in divine knowledge. In 700 verses, or even less, because Krishna only spoke 560 verses or so, he explains the whole Vedic philosophy in summary. He also should show his Virat Rup, universal form, which he did show to Arjuna. And that is described in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. He also has this particular mission when he comes. He has bodily signs on his feet, on his hands, on his palms. It's also described that Krishna is known as Avatari, which means the source of the avatars. He's not avatar, he's Avatari, the source of the avatars. So this is quite very interesting, how to distinguish God from others. Is there one God or many? So often Hinduism is associated, there's so many gods, so many goddesses. Gets a little confusing sometimes. Actually, there's only one God with a capital G, but there are many gods with a small g. What does that mean? There's one God, many demigods who serve him. Not just that, but there are many incarnations and avatars of the Lord, expansions of the one supreme Lord. He can expand himself as much as he wants. And the example is that of a king and the ministers. The king, he will appoint ministers to help him run the country. In the same way, God appoints very powerful demigods or ministers to administer this world. So without them, of course, the Lord can do anything he wants, but he allows his devotees to serve him in that capacity. Okay, good. So, yeah, this is an interesting example. There's a prime minister who has so many different cabinet members who look after different things. So similarly, in this universe, Lord Brahma is appointed prime minister, and under him there are many departments which help him run the universe. So some of these cabinet members, if you like, we can talk about Brahma, Shiva, Vivasvan, Soma, Indra, Kuver, Yamraj, Vayu, Varun. They're in charge of different aspects of the creation as described here. And we'll try to look at each one of these demigods to assess, to understand their function. It's quite interesting, quite important, so that we offer them our respect. Although we may not worship the demigods, because our worship is exclusively towards the Lord and his devotees. But the demigods are also his devotees in a different capacity. They're devotees in terms of the administration of this world. So it's good to know what they do. It's good to give them our appreciation, show them our respect. So what's the difference between God and demigod? Well, there are 33 crore, that's 330 million demigods in this tiny universe. As we said before, this universe, the Brahma only has 4 heads because it's a small universe, the smallest. But there are other universes which are far, far bigger, and therefore the Brahmas have bigger heads, more heads rather. And these demigods are given different powers by the Lord. Krishna has no particular duties, but still he works hard for the benefit of society. What makes Krishna different from demigods? So, when Arjuna wants to see the universal form of Lord Krishna, he showed him very easily what is described in chapter 11 of Bhagavad Gita. All the demigods will manifest from Lord Krishna's form, whether they are great demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma, or other demigods. No other demigods ever performed or tried to do such kind of transcendental activity. No demigod accepted that they are the Supreme Personality of Godhead or source of all beings. But Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 10.8, Aham Sarvasva Prabhava, I am the source of all material and spiritual worlds, therefore worship me. Not only this, but Krishna also called worshippers of demigods as having low intelligence. And the reason he says that is because the demigods can award only fruits which are temporary and limited. And what's the use of that? What's the use of having something temporary? Because we are eternal beings. Something temporary will make us happy, perhaps, for a short period of time. But we are eternal living beings. We live forever. And we want to be happy forever. So what we're looking for in this world is foolish. Happiness in this world is foolish because there is no such thing in this world, because the happiness will be very short-lived. So that's why we are known as, we have low intelligence. The worship of demigods is performed to get some material benefits. No demigod can liberate anyone from the material world. So this is quite an important point. That's why our worship is exclusively focused on the Supreme Lord. Not that we want even that liberation from him. No, we just want to please him. Just want to make him happy. Worshippers of demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but not to the spiritual world. But those who worship the Supreme Lord, they will go to his supreme planet in the spiritual world. The planets of the demigods are within the material world, and they are subject to destruction. If we want to respect the demigods, then worship Krishna. So this is quite an important point. And the example is, if we respect our grandparents, the parents will automatically be happy. In the same way, if we worship Krishna, all the demigods will be satisfied to see that. So if somebody wants to worship the demigods, that's fine. But which one are you going to worship? There's 33 crores of them, 330 million. Can't worship them all. Just like a tree, we can try to water each leaf or flower on that tree. But what's the use? Because we can simply water the roots and the whole tree will become nourished, including the plant, the leaves and the fruits. So in the same way, rather than trying to worship the demigods, we can worship the Supreme Lord and everybody becomes satisfied. In that context, Lord Shiva says to Parvati, Vishnu, Aradhana Parama. Among all prayers, Vishnu worship is supreme. Lord Shiva himself chants the holy name all the time, which is why he is considered Supreme Vaishnava. Vaishnav Nama Yatha Shambhu. So this is very, very interesting indeed. He's considered the greatest devotee of Lord Vishnu. The demigods get power from Lord Krishna, as described by Lord Brahma in the Brahma Samhita. Oh yes, this is quite interesting because he explains how Goddess Durga is the external potency of the Lord Krishna. This is in text 44 of chapter 5. How Lord Ganesh obtains power from the lotus feet of Krishna, text 50. Srila Rupa Goswami, after consulting various scriptures, analyzes the number of qualities and attributes possessed by various personalities. So, of course, these qualities are described. 50 of them, 50 qualities, if possessed in full by us, the jiva, then we can attain the position of Brahma. So we have these 50 qualities. They may be very tiny at the moment in terms of their potency. But when they're fully manifest in us, then potentially we could take the position of Brahma if we wanted to. Not that anybody would want to do that. Add another 5 qualities. That is the position of Lord Shiva. Add another 5 to Lord Shiva's qualities. That's the position of Vishnu. Of course, the Lord possesses far greater qualities than just 60, but this is just an example given by Rupa Goswami to give us an idea of the position of the analytical position of Krishna or Vishnu compared to Brahma and Shiva. And then add another 4 qualities to Vishnu and we have Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna possesses even more qualities than Vishnu. Learned scholars in transcendental subjects have carefully analyzed the Saman Bhuman of Krishna to have 64 principal attributes. They're principles, so there's a lot more, but these are just the principal ones. All the expansions or categories of the Lord possess only some percentage of these attributes, but Shri Krishna, is the possessor of the attributes, 100%. His personal expansions, such as Swayam Prakash or Tad Ekatma, up to the category of the avatars, who are all Vishnu Tattva, possess up to 93% of these transcendental attributes. So that 93% is the 60 qualities compared to 64. Lord Shiva, who is neither avatar nor Avesh, nor in between them, possesses 84% of the attributes. The jivas, or individual living beings in different stages of life, possesses up to a limit of 78% of the attributes. So this is from the purport by Srila Prabhupada in Chaitanya. No, CB, I'm not sure that is CB. I think SB, that's meant to be SB, Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport of 1-26 Bhagavatam, other demigods like Brahma, Shiva, Surya, Ganesh, and many similar deities are worshipped by men in the mode of passion, urged on by the desire for material enjoyment. But those who are actually situated in the mode of goodness, Sattvagun, of material nature, worship only Vishnu Tattva. It is for this reason only that candidates for liberation deliberately reject the worship of the demigods, although they have no disrespect for any of them. This is very important. We should not disrespect the demigods because they are fulfilling the orders of the Supreme Lord. Anyone who thinks that God and the demigods are on the same level, however, is potentially called an atheist because of various demands or results, because they are effectively want to enter into a business transaction with that person. So they're not worshipping the Supreme, but they're entering into a transaction with the Supreme through the demigods. They get the results, but they actually are losing their chance to worship and love Lord Krishna. Why are they losing the chance? Because the demigods will give them something which will increase their material enjoyment and let them become even more deeply attached to this material world. So slowly, you lose a chance to worship Krishna because you've got so much enjoyment because of the Devatas benedictions. They worship different demigods with self-desire, even though their self-desire will be fulfilled, but they never get purified. The point of worshipping demigods, the disadvantage is there's no purification. Even if we want something material, if we go to Krishna or Vishnu for that, still there is some purification. Even though we are motivated materially still the Lord will consider that act of approaching him as devotion. On the other side, if they worship Krishna, even with some motive or desire, Lord Krishna is so kind that he purifies such selfish desire into selfless devotion. So in time that will happen. An example, there are many examples. Dhruv Maharaj, initially he approached Lord Vishnu.
Recording in progress.
So yeah, he worshipped Lord Vishnu with some desire. But when he saw the Lord, he was purified. And he said, Varam Nayeche, I don't want anything from you. Just want to worship you. On the other hand, we have the example of Bakasura. See, Bakasura. When he received the boon from Lord Shiva, first he tried to kill. I'm not sure if that was Bakasura. Anyway, he tried to kill Lord Shiva. At the end, of course, Lord Vishnu interfered and killed the demon. So what's the position of the demigods? Demigods such as Indra, Brahma, Agni, etc. are Jiva Tattva. They're like us, ordinary souls, but given special powers by God. As explained in the Brahma Samhita. Dharma Papa Nichaya Shutayasta Pamsi Brahmadikita Patagavadayascha Jiva Yattatamata Vibhava Pakata Prabhava Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, by whose conferred powers are maintained the manifested potencies that found to exist of all virtue, all vice, and Vedas, penance, and all jivas, from Brahma to the meanest, minute insect. Lord Brahma clearly states that from himself, Lord Brahma, to the tiny insect, the all jivas, this includes demigods, spirits, demons, humans, etc. They're all jiva tattva. Jivas in the material world are given material bodies. Demigods also have material bodies, although their bodies are superior. They're more powerful than our earthly bodies, because their bodies are said to consist of subtle nature, not the gross nature that we possess. Are demigods under the influence of material modes of nature? Well, the living entity in the material world is conditioned by the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, ignorance. Due to their past good karma, the demigods are given better facilities for enjoyment. Their sense of enjoyment is also in the mode of goodness, but this can prevent spiritual progress. So they may be in the mode of goodness predominantly, but the mode of goodness may not be enough to take them back to the spiritual world. Does any type of sense enjoyment come under the mode of goodness? Yes. Krishna explains, food dear to those in the mode of goodness increases duration of life, purifies one's existence, and gives strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such foods are juicy, fatty, wholesome, pleasing to the heart. Above is with reference to eating in the mode of goodness. In the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives a list of many activities: singing, dancing, drinking, speaking, can all be in the mode of goodness. Demigods in higher planets have much better facilities for enjoyment in the mode of goodness. Their bodies are made of Satagun and are internally and externally situated in goodness. All the great saints are also situated in that way. But it is all temporary and does not satisfy the spirit soul, which looks for transcendental reciprocation with Krishna. So even if one is in the mode of goodness, ultimately, what's the use? Because we haven't attained pure goodness. So there is no being existing either here nor among the demigods in the higher planetary systems who is free from the three modes of material nature. So even the mode of goodness will bind the demigods. So what's the position of the demigods? They are servants and different parts of the body, Lord's cosmic body in the material world. So some examples: Indra or Mahendra, king of heaven, was generated from the prowess of the Lord. The demigods were generated from the mercy of the Lord. Shiva was generated from the anger of the Lord, Brahma from his sober intelligence, the Vedic mantras generated from the bodily halls of the Lord. The great saints and Prajapatis were generated from genitals. Therefore, the demigods are super powerful, intelligent compared to humans. Their position is to establish balance, peace, religious principles. Sri Madhavacharya is quoted from Garud Puran to demonstrate that within this universe, those who take birth as demigods, great sages or pious human beings are all considered santaha, or saintly people. So demigods are considered to be the most pious living beings within the three modes of material nature. The rishis, or the great saintly mystics of the universe, who are able to travel at will to various planets and who cultivate mystic powers, are considered to be somewhat below the demigods. So this is a little bit of a surprise. The reason is demigods are directly helping the Lord by serving to maintain the structure of the universe. So they have direct service. So they're given special benefit, special mercy. Those humans, beings on earth who perfectly execute the Vedic rituals are to be considered in the third or lowest category of Shanta, saintly persons. But a devotee of the Lord is beyond the three modes of material nature. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 14:26, one who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the mode of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Therefore, one should cultivate the association of the Uttamadhikari, or pure devotee of the Lord. So, this is an interesting verse, or interesting comments here. By serving the lotus feet of the pure devotee, one can enter the ocean of eternal happiness and experience our own constitutional position as a servant. The mercy of the Vaishnavas is unlimited. And one who has tasted that mercy becomes mad after the lotus feet of Krishna, not caring for the hallucinations of so-called material pleasure or material or mental speculation. The mercy of the Vaishnavas is substantial and as powerful as Krishna himself. So this is a really interesting point. When a devotee gives the blessings, even if Krishna is angry, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Krishna will honor the devotee. He will honor the words of his devotee, even if that devotee blesses somebody who is not worthy. This is the power of the devotee. Whereas impersonal speculations and hopeless dreams of society, friendship, love merely constitute various means by which Maya cheats the soul and keeps him in perpetual frustration. So I think we'll have to carry on tomorrow. Crikey, I didn't realize we had so much. Anyway, we'll carry on tomorrow. But it's good to understand the difference between us and the Devatas. And also to understand the difference between Devatas and the Supreme Lord. Very important. Any questions, any comments, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Sunil. Yes, it is there in the chat. Just a question, because someone was telling that Bhagavan, that's Sri Krishna, Sri Rama, Shiva, and Narayan. Is it okay?
Narayan, Vishnu, and Shiva, yes. Narayan, Vishnu, and Krishna, yes. Shiva is in a little different category. When Vishnu wants to touch this world, interact with this world, he transforms into Shiva. Just like milk and yogurt are both dairy products, but they're also different from each other. When we add a curding agent to hot milk, it can become yogurt. So when we add to Vishnu the function of the material world, he becomes Shiva. So although milk and yogurt are similar, are the same, yet they're different as well. So although Shiva and Vishnu are similar and the same, but they're also different. So Shiva is very hard to understand, very difficult to understand. He's God, but also he's not God. So as we saw the qualities, 50 qualities belong to Jiva, 55 to Shiva, but 60 to Vishnu. So Shiva misses a few qualities that makes him, that cannot make him Vishnu Tattva. He's got a special Tattva, truth about himself, Shiva Tattva. So
Okay.
is that understandable? Is that clear?
Yeah, that I just wanted to place uh, who is God, and as someone was telling to my mother,
Hmm.
uh, Sri Krishna is Bhagavan, Sri Ram is Bhagavan,
Yes.
Shiva is Bhagavan, and
Yes.
Narayan or Vishnu.
Yes. Narayana Vishnu. Yes, that's correct. Yes, that's correct. The original, the one from whom everybody else comes, is Krishna.
Yeah.
According to, and we don't say that because we are worshippers of Krishna. We love Krishna, but that's not why we're saying it. It's stated in three places, in many places, but three prominent places where we give importance. One, the Bhagavad Gita. Two, Srimad Bhagavad Puran. Three, Brahma Samhita. So these three scriptures contain so much information about the position of Krishna.
Okay. Thank you for confirming that. Uh, and maybe I can ask another question related to this topic. When you read the 10 offenses, the second one is not to consider Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal.
Mm.
Uh, there are some persons who have some doubts about that the second sentence of the 10 offenses.
Okay. Yeah, not to have, I mean, one should not consider the names of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva to be equal to or independent of the holy name of Lord Vishnu. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because if you equate the two, if you're chanting Brahma's name or Shiva's name, you will not attain the spiritual world. If you're chanting Shiva's name, then he may become very merciful, depending on your internal mood. A lot of Shiv Bhaktas worship Shiva for wealth or prestige or power. If that's the mood that one is worshipping Shiva, then that's what one will get. If the mood of worshipping Shiva is, you're a great devotee of the Lord, let me get close to the Lord, then he will bring one closer to the Lord. But that's why the name of Vishnu or Narayan or Krishna is supreme. Ajamil, he chanted the name of Narayan at the time of on his deathbed, but he was not chanting the name of God, Narayan. He was chanting the name of his son, Narayan. Yet, the holy name of Narayan still saved him from the Yamadutas. So the holy name of Krishna, Vishnu, Narayan, is completely transcendental. It is, even if one says it unknowingly, even if one says it by mistake, or in anger, or in jest, or in a joking way, you still get so much benefit. So that's why the holy name of Vishnu should not be equated to the name of Brahma or Shiva. Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you for the clarification, because there are some devotees or some, those who are interested in Krishna consciousness. They have some problem why Shiva is not considered to be as God,
Yes.
and they don't want to read the 10 offenses. They say something is not okay here.
Yeah. And I understand. Look, if you've been worshipping all your life Lord Shiva, and your family tradition is to worship Lord Shiva, and suddenly somebody is telling you, hey, don't worship Shiva, we should be very, very sensitive how we put the message across. There is, in one sense, no difference between Shiva and Krishna. And there is a difference at the same time. But the difference is that Shiva is a great devotee of the Lord. It doesn't make Shiva any less than the Lord, because when the Lord comes to this world as Ram, he worships Shiva. When he comes as Krishna, he's crying for Shiva. So if anybody does insult Shiva, they're stupid as well. Even if our ISKCON devotees want to, denigrate the worshippers of Shiva, they're stupid as well, because why would you want to? Even Lord Vishnu worships Shiva, but not in the capacity of the Supreme, as the capacity of the devotee, because the Lord loves the devotion of Shiva. So we have to be very mindful. We need to be very sensitive. We don't offend the devotees of Lord Shiva, because yes, they've somehow been used to the fact that Shiva is the supreme, and let them continue in that mood. But we can, if there's a potential, if there's an opportunity, we can just explain gently the position of Shiva, the greatness of Shiva.
Okay, thank you. Maybe someone else wanna ask something. Hare Krishna.
Are you okay? Are you happy with that?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. I'm okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Otherwise, we can stop. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, everybody. Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagwan ki jai.